Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is KJ speaking, and today I'm super excited to share with you guys how to write advanced level in IELTS Writing Task 2. Today's topic is personal viewpoint, which I'm gonna focus on partially agree. So now let's begin. To begin with, let's have a quick look at the action plan. There are 3 steps to follow. Step 1, task analysis. Step 2, outlining. Step 3, writing. All of these steps I'm gonna detail one by one later. So now let's move on. Now let's move to the action plan. As previously mentioned, there are 3 steps to follow. First and foremost is step 1, task analysis, which is the pre-writing stage. Let's have a look at the exercise. For subject or question, it's about transportation. Next is type of essay. It's a personal viewpoint essay. Then regarding the stand, I agree partially with the given statement. Finally, the summary section is required the opinion. Alright, let's proceed to the next step. Step 2, outlining. There are 3 crucial items here: introduction, idea, and summary. First of all, introduction. In the introduction, you should include 2 things. 1, you should include the paraphrase of the prompt question. 2, you should include your stand after the paraphrase there. You agree partially with the statement. Turning to idea. Since you agree partially with the given statement, you should include 2 or 3 supporting ideas with clear explanation and example to explain why. And then you should include 1 or 2 opposing ideas with clear explanation and example to explain why you think those ideas are so reasonable. Finally, summary. In personal viewpoint, it's a must to include your opinion in a summary section. Step 3, writing. Here I divided the writing task into 3 sections: introduction, idea, and summary. First, let's begin with the introduction. To utilize time efficiently, your introduction should be merely a paraphrase of the question and your partial approval stand on the issue. Let's learn how to write a straightforward introduction altogether. The question is, the government should spend money on railways rather than roads. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So how did I write the introduction? I wrote my introduction as significantly governmental spending on public infrastructure is considerably a colossal amount, leading to the cautious rumination on various transport modes to avoid ineffective and unworkable policy. Hence, one group advised heavy funding on railway system. I partially agree with the view, and I will explain in the essay. As you see in the first sentence, I try to write a hook to link to the question. Then in the second sentence, I move on to paraphrase the question. Finally, in the third sentence, I stated my stand that I agree partially on the issue. One takeaway from this section is that you may use a hook to link to the question. Next, idea. Ideas are core section of the essay. Here are some strategies to write a convincing personal viewpoint essay when you agree with the statement partially. First, you should include 2 or 3 supporting ideas on one side, and each idea should be well explained with concrete example. In the exercise, I raised 2 main ideas. Supporting idea 1 is alternative means in the city. This is because it may reduce crowding traffic volume. One obvious example is subway. Supporting idea 2 is more accessible to long-distance journey. The reason for this is it allows broader mobility, both human and goods. The example can be seen in the case of Europe and China. Second, You should include one or two opposing ideas to claim that the other side is also reasonable. In the exercise, I raised two main ideas to support the other side. Opposing idea 1 is the exceptional case where the railway cannot be built. This is because not all city areas can build railway, as you can see in underground or SkyTrain or bottleneck. Opposing idea 2 is the reserve fund for maintenance. The reason for this is that existing facilities are required maintenance too. For the purpose, such a reserve fund can be used in order to improve traffic conditions and accidents. One takeaway from this section is remember to include supporting ideas on both sides with clear explanation and example. The first supporting idea is alternative means in the series. Let's have a look at my example. As you see, I firstly introduce the idea by simply using a content connector to begin with. This is such a clear message to guide the reader what I was about to introduce. Then I began to explain why construction of railway may be beneficial for the city transportation. What even more convincing is the example. I also show a positive aspect of the subway. Three takeaways from this section are: 1. Introduce the idea with content connector or clear opening. 2. Explain the idea. 3. Include example to show clear evidence to the reader. The second supporting idea is more accessible to long-distance journey. Similar to the previous idea, I kick off the description with a content connector additionally to guide the reader to move to the next idea. Then I explain why this idea may work to improve the congested traffic condition. To do this, I raise the example of China and Europe to prove how high-speed train can improve public transport significantly. Remarkably, the sentence structure here is relatively sophisticated with a long, complex sentence. One takeaway from this section is remember to write a more complex yet understandable sentence. The fourth opposing idea is exceptional case where the railway cannot be built. I started the idea with a sentence connector, nevertheless, to inform the reader that this idea is contrary to the previous two. Then I follow a similar strategy to the previous idea by explaining why this idea is also reasonable with concrete example. As you see, I try to make the case why railway cannot be built in certain occasions in the series, such as in some bottleneck. The second opposing idea is the one for maintenance. I kick off the idea with a sentence connector once more to inform the reader that it is the second idea of the opposite side. Then I continue to explain why funds should be reserved for maintenance or enhancement of current infrastructure. As you see, I raise two cases to claim this. One is to improve traffic conditions and the other is to reduce traffic accidents. One interesting lesson learned here is an abundance of advanced vocabulary. Finally, the last part of an essay writing is summary section. I firstly kick off a summary writing by using a sentence connector to conclude, to signal the reader that it's the final section of the writing. Then I included my opinion that the issue is such a circumstantial issue that requires the government to identify the real demand before funding on certain projects. In a personal viewpoint essay, opinion is marked in a summary section, so please include your opinion. If not, you will lose marks. One takeaway from this section is when dealing with a personal viewpoint essay, please remember to include your opinion into the summary section. Okay, now let's have a look at my full-length writing sample. Please pause the video to read it and identify how I approach this task effectively. Well, now it's time to recap all the takeaways from this video. First task response. 1. Try to read every single word in the question to ensure that you understand it entirely. 2. When you cannot take side firmly, try to explain both with idea and clear evidence. 3. Make sure you write at least 250 words. If not, you will lose marks. Second, coherent and cohesion. 1. You may use a hook to link to the question. 2. Make sure you employ appropriate sentence connector to link from one idea to the other. Third, lexical resource. Try to impress examiner with your advanced vocabulary and use them accurately. The following is a list of vocabulary from this practice. Fourth, grammatical range and accuracy. 1. Be flexible with tense use. 2. Maximize complexity of sentence structure, such as compound, complex, rather than merely simple sentence. Well, now it's come to the end of the section. Thank you so much for watching. See you later.